Tonight on Oswego Now, SUNY Oswego students are sharing their concerns about the future of DEI programs, what they have to say about threats coming from the White House.
Plus, some neighborly love. A church helps a community trying to bounce back from damage caused by this winter's heavy snow.
But first, wild wind. When will it let up? The latest on this weekend's weather right now on Oswego Now. Good evening, I'm Riley Jones.
And I'm Ziggy James. Tonight, when we say hold on to your hats, we mean it.
That's right, Ziggy. If you've spent any time outdoors today, you get it. The wind has been intense. Treetops swaying, the waves on Lake Ontario are putting on quite a show as well. Not to mention trying to walk through gusts that peaked at about 45 miles per hour. So far, there have been no major reports of damage. Oswego Now meteorologist David Rienzo is tracking our current conditions. David?
That's right. It has been extremely gusty along the coast of Oswego and even around the rest of New York, and that is going to make wind chills around the area extremely cold, but luckily temperatures are set to rebound by next week. So right now across New York State, you see wind gusts are pretty high all around. Fulton at 30 miles per hour, Lowville at 30, and around Albany even higher than that. So for tonight, if it's trash night, you may find your trash in your neighbor's yard by the morning because wind speeds are going to continue to rise by tomorrow morning. We see a little bit of a lull in wind speed, but then as tomorrow gets going, we're back up to 35 miles per hour. And that's going to make wind chill feel very, very cold. You can see tomorrow we're pretty much in the 20s for most of the day. Now I'll have more on your weekend forecast as well as a rebound in temperatures by next week that will have you kissing your seasonal depression goodbye. That's all more in my full forecast. Back to you guys at the desk.
Oswego has been struggling this winter. Rough winds today, but just a couple weeks ago, it was heavy snow that caused roofs to collapse on dozens of homes and businesses. We've been hearing from neighbors who are unable to afford repairs.
Our Zachary Greenspan went to one of the hardest hit communities, Palomero, and discovered a church that is doing all it can to help those in need.
Famous chicken and biscuit dinners Thursday. The event started at 4:30 and offered affordable dinners with plentiful portions for anyone in need. The event was made possible with the help of Tammy Nipper, the pastor for the Palmero Church. Tammy says the church is the heart of the community and often helps people in need.
We do all kinds of activities here to help. Every Saturday we run a thrift store. Our thrift store is clothing like 50 cents to maybe $3 for a coat. And that thrift store houses the community. We sell to the community. I've gotten calls in the past with people that are from foster care that came into foster care with just the clothes on their back. We tell them to come here and they can get clothes and shoes and anything that they need.
While providing extremely affordable clothing to the less fortunate, the church also makes all the food themselves in the kitchen. This allows them to fund future fundraisers, allowing them to help more people. Tammy says these fundraisers are important.
The fundraisers help because you can only ask people to support so much. We have a very active congregation, but we can't ask those people to continuously give more and more and more. They're giving up their time, they're giving up their efforts, they're giving up their gifts. And so fundraisers are an opportunity for the community to come in and be able to support us and help us and fund us.
By supporting events like the Chicken and Biscuit Dinner, the church is able to give much more back to the community. Zachary Greenspan, Oswego Now.
Now, it won't be long before we're talking about more spring-like weather, and that can include thunderstorms.
And with thunder comes lightning. And on the SUNY Oswego campus, there's a team studying a lightning-related phenomenon unique to our region.
Our Madeline Cummings has the team's groundbreaking discoveries. Madeline?
Thanks, guys. SUNY Oswego is making historic discoveries about the correlation of wind turbines and lake effect lightning. The student faculty team is working on a project titled Lake Effect Electrification and the Impacts of Wind Turbines on Electrification East of Lake Ontario, otherwise known as Project LEE. The team's main discovery was that the addition of wind turbines around Lake Ontario has caused changes to both the frequency and location of lightning strikes during lake effect storms. Project Lee has earned over $1 million from the National Science Foundation to fund this study, as well as pay student researchers. The student research team includes Oswego Junior Sarah Griskevich, who is alongside me today. Sarah, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
And can you start by telling me a little bit about your involvement in Project Lee?
Yeah, so I was one of the undergraduate students involved with the data collection portion of Lee, basically out in the field, launching instrumentation and getting that data for the data analysis portion of the campaign.
Great, Sarah. And what benefits has your team's discoveries made to the scientific community?
There's been a lot of progress in better understanding lake effect storms and their contribution to lightning analysis, pretty much. In that aspect, there's been a publication that was recently released into the recent findings of Lee over the past year or so, 2 years. So it's gathered some groundbreaking research into the field so far. It's been, very progressive in that aspect.
And do you have a favorite experience working on the project?
My favorite experiences were really just the operations in general, being out in the field with other students, with scientists from various different laboratories and institutions across the country. It was really fantastic. Any time we're out in the field, launching the equipment or just spending time, downtime, interacting with everybody, it was really, really great time, honestly.
Yeah, and what skills have you learned as a student researcher on the project?
I learned a lot of skills that have benefited my critical thinking skills, my data analysis skills, not only that, but my communication as well. Being able to talk with others in the communities. We've done some outreach before with the campaign. So being able to get out and communicate things that have been happening with the project has been great. And anything in the realm of scientific discovery, pretty much with data analysis, like I mentioned, and anything like that.
Yeah, and what are your hopes for the future of this project?
I really hope to see more publications come out of this study. I know a lot of students have been doing work with Dr. Steiger on the data that was collected years ago. So I hope to see more presentations and publications come out of this study.
Great, Sarah. Thank you so much, and good luck in all of your future research. Now let's head back to Riley and Ziggy in the studio.
Thanks, Madeline, and thank you, Sarah. In its first months, the Trump administration has announced a number of cuts to federal programs. This includes an almost 50% reduction to the Office of National Marine Sanctuaries. This poses a possible threat to the Lake Ontario National Marine Sanctuary. Lake Ontario's sanctuary was founded in September of 2024 and covers more than 1,700 square miles. Oswego County Administrator Philip Church says that in spite of these potential threats, the sanctuary is continuing to thrive, and he feels that in the long run, the sanctuary will be greatly beneficial to the county's economy.
Underway right now is a social economic study by the DLR group of marine sanctuary communities, and that's going to be important for us because being in our first year, it'll give us baseline data on the economic impact the sanctuary will have, which we know has been positive in other sanctuary communities.
Church says that no cuts to the Lake Ontario Sanctuary have officially been announced at this time. If cuts were to come, they would be announced in a decision made by the Senate and handled accordingly.
Troop D Commander Major J. Simpson is being reassigned after less than a year on the Central New York Troop. This comes after a pending administrative investigation into Major Simpson, a trooper of over 30 years. Troop D covers 7 counties and services over 200 towns and villages.
The 10th annual Outrun Autism 5K is tomorrow.
Oswego Now reporter Casey DeSalle has more details on how you can join the race and raise awareness for autism.
Thanks, guys. Ahead of the 5K tomorrow, I spoke with race director Julie Chetney to find out why it's important to raise money for autism. The Outrun Autism 5K started back in 2013 and has been a great success year in and year out. The first race had a little over 100 participants, and this year they're hoping to surpass 300 for the first time in the race's history. Race director Julie Chetney says seeing the community come out and support the race is really rewarding.
It's really makes my heart smile, to be honest with you. It makes me feel really happy and proud, and I'm kind of in awe at times at how much awareness has come to our community.
The press box will provide warmth, food, and beverages for the racers before and after the race. It's also the starting point of the race before they head down to Fort Ontario and move back and finish right here. Cheney was involved in the origin of the race and says it was started because there wasn't any other races that raised money for autism.
I would usually pick runs to run that for causes that I was interested in, and I didn't really know or couldn't find one in the Syracuse area. I would have ran it if there was one. And then I just said, well, why don't we just have one here?
The race has raised an average of $5,000 per year, but this year they're closing in on $10,000. One organization that is in support of the event is the Arc of Oswego County. Jeff Wigan, the business and community relations for the Arc of Oswego County, says it's great how the community rallies around events like the 5K.
You know, the fact that the community knows, you look at the list of sponsors that have come up to do this. It's great.
The Arc of Oswego County is an organization that provides services and training for children and adults who have intellectual and developmental disabilities. The Arc of Oswego County is understaffed right now, but you can volunteer to help out at arcofoswegocounty.org.
The 5K begins at 9 a.m. tomorrow. If you miss online signups, you can still get in on the action by signing up at the event. That's all for my report. Now back to the desk.
Thanks, Casey.
Boom! There was a huge lightning storm in Oswego the other night. Did you hear it?
I did, and I'm sure our meteorologist David Rienzo did too. David?
Thanks, guys. Right now in Oswego, it is 33 degrees, and that wind is really the main driver coming out of the west at 17 miles per hour, but the wind gusts are coming out at 38 miles per hour. You can see across the state, we're seeing very similar conditions. Albany, even stronger, around 37 miles per hour, and the Adirondacks and North Country, a little bit stronger, but out in western New York, we're seeing a little bit less strong wind chills, and that'll come to us in just a few hours as we see a little bit of a dip overnight and then back up tomorrow. So I'll have more information on some wind chills and as well as your weather next week in my full forecast. But first, back to you guys at the desk. Welcome back to Oswego now. I'm meteorologist David Rienzo. Right now in Oswego, it is pretty chilly at 33 degrees, but that wind gust is making things feel even colder. And that wind gust will stick around for the next few hours tonight, dropping down around midnight and then popping back up for Saturday afternoon. And that's going to make things feel very cold. So you may wake up to find your garbage can in your neighbor's yard. It's going to be that windy. Now the temperatures are going to feel very cold thanks to that wind chill, mostly wind chills in the teens and even a single digit early in the morning. So if we look at the trend, mostly cold tomorrow, especially in the early morning, but then rising as the day continues, but still very frigid. So if you want to get outside of the cold, there are two championship games against Plattsburgh tomorrow. The women's game starts at 3, mostly sunny to start in the middle of the day, then a little chilly. But as the men's game gets started at 7, just around sunset, it will be a little bit warmer and mostly clear. Now another reminder that Sunday is daylight savings time, so turn your clocks forward at 2 a.m. It's also nice to check your smoke alarms. But what's bad about this is that we actually lose an hour of sleep. But on the flip side, though, sunsets will be an hour later, meaning that this will be the first sunset after 7 p.m. since September 23rd. So finally, some nice longer days to the week. Tonight, a low of 32 to 25 degrees. Showers early Saturday morning, but then those gusts continue. And then tomorrow, 30 degrees. Extra chilly because of those wind chills, but you do have that hockey game to look forward to. Mostly sunny, and those winds still continue. Now, after we get past this weekend, we need to get past Sunday. Temperatures rise way into the 40s, even Tuesday. Look at that, 56 degrees, mostly sunny skies. Sunsets after 7 p.m. Now, if this does not cure your seasonal depression, I'm not too sure what will. That's all for my full forecast. Back to you guys at the desk.
With several cuts to federal funding taking place over the last month or so, a lot remains uncertain. These cuts have had impacts all across the country, and there is fear that the cuts could make it to the SUNY Oswego campus. The White House has threatened to cut federal funding for any university that maintains diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. Oswego Now's Ziggy James has been talking with student leaders about how this could impact them. Ziggy?
Student organizations nationwide are concerned about the Trump administration's proposed cuts to DEI programs. I explore how these changes could impact students and campus initiatives. Trump administration's proposed cuts to federal funding for diversity, equity, and inclusion programs have sparked concern among campus communities nationwide. Many fear that these cuts could threaten the future of these programs on college campuses.
I'm scared for the future of a lot of student organizations because we do rely on state funding and government funding heavily. So I believe a lot of the important programming and events that we use and rely state funding for, we won't be able to do it anymore.
SUNY Chancellor John King vowed to keep advocating for DEI programs and initiatives despite political pressures. However, student leaders expressed concern that while SUNY remains supportive, schools and organizations outside of SUNY may still face challenges.
Just because the SUNY Chancellor has said that he will continue to support us, our objective and our work is bigger than just SUNY Oswego or any SUNY schools. So there's still that concern about obviously other schools and orgs and states that don't have the same opportunities as us.
As debates over DEI programs continue, students and administrators face uncertainty about the future. While SUNY says it remains committed to diversity and inclusion, federal funding cuts could still impact student engagement. One thing is clear: students will fight to preserve the opportunities and support they rely on.
Who are we? We are family. What do we come to do? Build a better BSU.
Ziggy James, Oswego Now. SUNY Oswego's Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer, Kendrick Hodigan, was unavailable for comment, but provided a statement via email. Hodigan reaffirmed the university's commitment, stating, "We will remain committed to SUNY's mission of providing an accessible, quality education to all."
When we come back, we learn about how TSA are handling negotiations.
And how spring break may hit new records here at Oswego Now.
Welcome back to Oswego Now. Spring break kicking into high gear this month, but experts and officials are warning about potential issues with both travel and safety.
Brian Abell reports on what you need to know before you book that trip.
Spring break travel expected to break records again.
We are seeing that travelers are flocking to warmer destinations.
AAA says 3 of the top 4 destinations in the U.S. are in Florida, including Fort Lauderdale and Miami. If you plan on hitting the beach there, local leaders have a message for you.
Worst spring break ever.
Let's go, let's go. In a PSA satirizing reality TV shows the city of Miami Beach, warning potential spring break revelers of restrictions and enforcement actions that may damper your plans.
How you guys doing? What's going on?
You're drinking in public, that's not allowed. The speaker, that's not allowed.
Rule after rule after rule.
Expensive parking, curfews, DUI checkpoints, and a heavy police presence are highlighted. It's part of a larger crackdown following the chaos of recent years, including stampedes and 2 deadly shootings in 2023. Further north, the Volusia County Sheriff doubling down on the message for high schoolers heading to popular county beaches like Daytona or New Smyrna.
If they think we're playing here, we're not. We really don't want you here. I'm going to be honest with you. Nobody wants you here.
There's also warnings for international travelers heading to popular destinations like Mexico. The State Department giving a level 3 travel advisory telling Americans to reconsider travel, with the U.S. Embassy in Mexico saying, because of crime, exercise caution in popular areas like Cancun, Playa del Carmen, and Tulum. In Washington, Brian Abel reporting.
We'll be right back with more news after the break.
On Oswego Now.
Welcome back to Oswego Now. I'm your sports anchor, Alex Brummer. The Oswego Athletics Department have announced the Student Athletes of the Month, Arjana LaFerry, and on the women's swim and dive team, and Brandon Cohen on the men's hockey team. LaFerriere earned gold at the SUNYAC Championship in the 100 freestyle in 52.46 seconds and finished second in the 50 freestyle in 24.11 seconds and in the 200 freestyle in 1 minute and 57 seconds. Brandon Cohen had an incredible month, scoring 8 goals and 2 assists, and as a freshman, he was named to the All-Rookie team in SUNYAC. Phoenix High School sophomore Lexis Bonney has been named Athlete of the Week as she continues to rise in girls wrestling. In the girls wrestling, in the 107-pound weight class, Bonnie got first place in Section 3 girls state qualifier and got third place in the state championships at MVP Arena in Albany. Bonnie ended her sophomore year with a career record of 61-6 with 44 pins and 9 technical falls. Oswego High School senior Danny Dunn has qualified for the New York State High School Indoor Track and Field Championships. Dunn will be racing the 600-meter run Saturday at the Ocean Breeze Athletic Complex in Staten Island. Other Oswego County athletes that will make an appearance are Pulaski senior Nora Tai in weight throwing and Phoenix senior Julia Spates in high jump. The SUNY Oswego men's basketball team had 3 players named to the SUNYAC All-Conference team this season, including a historic achievement for one standout freshman.
The SUNY Oswego men's basketball team had 3 players named to the SUNYAC All-Conference teams this season, including a historic achievement for one standout freshman. The SUNYAC released its 2025 All-Conference selections and 3 Lakers earned recognition. Freshman Deacon Judd made history being named both SUNYAC Rookie of the Year and Player of the Year. Judd was also selected to the first-team All-Conference leading Oswego with 13 points, 6.7 rebounds per game while shooting 47% from the field.
I think going into the season, I got pushed around a lot. You know, being like the freshman, you know, I couldn't box out on anyone. I was getting my shot blocked 5-6 times a practice. You know, I think the biggest thing was like learning how to play with like my body, like using my body to my strength. So I think that is definitely where I improved on over the years.
Meanwhile, graduate student Xavier Allen earned a spot on the third-team All-Conference. Allen averaged 9.8 points and 3.7 assists per game, with his best performance coming in a 24-point game against SUNY Brockport. Senior Aki Anderson also made the third team, marking his second straight season as an All-Conference selection. Anderson put up 9.2 points and 3.8 assists per game, shooting 43% from the field.
The three biggest lessons probably would be always staying together as a team, always working hard, and always having each other's backs probably.
The Lakers season came to an end in the SUNYAC semifinals against Cortland, but these 3 players left a remarkable impact on the program. I'm Jaden Archie, Oswego Now.
That's all for sports. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Alex. And speaking of sports, Ziggy, are you excited for the hockey game tomorrow?
I am. I hear it's a whiteout game. We have 2, right?
It's going to be great. But unfortunately, that's going to be all the time we have. Have a good night, Oswego.
See ya.